Hi, everyone. This is Herman. Welcome. This is where I share information about blockchain technology for enterprise. And today, let's talk about the infamous blockchain trilemma. So what's that and where did the term come from? It was coined by Vitalik, the Ethereum founder. It describes the competing priorities of the technology. It talks about the way blockchain achieves and balances decentralization, security, and scalability. How an element takes more forces the other element to give some. This reminds me of the popular saying in project management, like you can only have budget and schedule and quality, but you can only pick two. So let's take a look at the fabric of the blockchain first, and we'll dive into how all these three goals are affecting each other. In its simplest term, a blockchain is a distributed database, which is why it is also called distributed ledger technology. And sometimes you come across the term DLT, that's what it stands for, distributed ledger technology. The integrity of the database is kept mainly through two mechanisms. One is through cryptography, the hashing existing in between blocks to uphold its chain. So in this diagram, you can see block number 2 has a recording of the hash from block number 1, and that is how all the blocks are linked together and maintain their chain of sequence. Because of the type relationship, you cannot freely insert another block in an existing chain. For example, in between 1 and 2 is not going to be easy to insert another one. This would affect the whole chain. And here comes an issue. If you arbitrarily insert a block, if you're able to do so, there are thousands of nodes in the network. So how do you convince the other nodes to agree to your change? So we say security is also achieved just through the size of the network in itself and its consensus mechanism. When we say the distributed ledger, we basically means, a copy of the chain is being replicated throughout all the nodes in the network itself to maintain its integrity. So inherently, the more nodes there are in the network, the more secure it is, because it becomes so much harder for a bad actor to take control of the system through a 51% attack. A 51% attack is when you have a group of node operators banding together and they control more than 50% of a network hashing rate. They decide to override consensus and change the change data to benefit themselves, such as double spending. So as the blockchain architecture dictates all records being on the network, not one single organization is in charge of the data. That's decentralization. The network is open to anyone who wants to participate. Everyone has access to the same data. And this is how it works. If anyone tries to cheat the system by changing the records in their favor, the rest of the participants would say, and reject the faulty data. So let's compare this to banks. Banks enforce trust by ensuring all records are being kept correctly, but to themselves or to the transacting parties. The clearing happens between the transacting parties for order reconciliation. The blockchain, on the other hand, shares all the data with everyone on the network, so it can be checked and confirmed before being added to the digital database. It is almost like immediate clearing, or it triggers the immediate clearing, because if it doesn't clear, it won't be added to the block or to the chain. The result is a system that can exist without really the need for any third parties to confirm or to verify. All the nodes in the network act as validators. That sounds very good, right? But then there's one major shortcoming, because how the distributed system works, the transaction time can be slow due to the way information needs to be shared and replicated and processed. In a Bloomberg 2022 report, the Bitcoin blockchain can only process 7 transactions per second, versus Visa can process up to 24,000 transactions per second. This performance issue is still something a lot of the newer chains are trying to solve. So naturally, this becomes, the third leg in the trilemma, right? Like scalability. It refers to the ability to support more participants and higher transaction speed. In blockchain terminology, it is TPS, transactions per second. As we know, the ethos of blockchain is about decentralization. And then, adding the security requirement, the importance of scalability at the very beginning, at least, seems to be placed at last. And this is still often the #1 technical issue to resolve for modern chains. There have been some solutions, and I'll cover that in another video. So today, we have discussed what blockchain trilemma is and how decentralization, security, and scalability form the triangle, and how they interfere with each other. Hope you find this information helpful. Thanks, and see you in the next video.